from Politico. MAGA infighting erupts at Turning Point USA conference. Two of the night's headliners, Ben Shapiro and Tucker Carlson, threw jabs at each other in their speeches. And I'm hearing now that people are like, it's pretty tense because you've got different factions now that are basically going to odds with each other. Check this out from Dom Lucre. This is a video of them kicking out Fresh from the Fresh and Fit podcast. Look at this. So he's filming. This is Fresh filming.
Yeah. Thanks for being cool about it, man. Cool. Appreciate it. But did it say what I did or something? Or no, I have nothing. Damn. All right.
Think about this.
Well, kicked out. Apparently, I don't know why. But yep. That's crazy, right?
Apparently, they also barred Myron from coming in as well, but then later reversed and let them both come back in. They both got back in. I think it's very obvious. There is a MAGA civil war, and I'm telling you, I think who's going to win is going to be the Romney-esque conservatives, and then the I'll put it like this because we talked about it a little bit yesterday. I got asked by a reporter from the Wall Street Journal about what I thought was going on, and I said, well, we weren't invited. They invited me back after the fact for whatever reason, and I was like, we're booked. I'm just not going to do it. And I got to be honest, I really don't want to be there. With this, with all the stuff going on, with all this bickering, bitching, infighting, I don't know what is going on with this, but I will tell you this. I do not care for the suit-wearing Republican Party. Never did. Democrats are absolutely insane. They're insane people who do things that are insane for insane reasons. For that reason, I voted for Republicans. Donald Trump's different. I like J.D. Vance, but I don't like the stodgy Bush-era suit-wearing conservatives. And what AmFest is turning into is guy in suit comes out, says Christianity, guy in suit comes out, says immigration, and I'm like, well, it's not really for me. Now you've got infighting. Now you've got the people screaming about the Jews, and I'm just like, yo, if that's the direction you're going, I'm not interested. And so I'll say this one thing. Jillian Michaels, shout out. She's on that show with PBD's, what is it?
Her Take?
Yeah, called Her. And they're like, let's make a View for real people. And this viral clip happened where Anna Kasparian brings up Israel again. And Jillian Michael goes, oh my God, I did not come here to just talk about Israel nonstop. And she gets up and leaves. The anti-Israel people framed it as though Jillian refused to criticize Israel. The real story is that Anna Kasparian brings up Israel all the time. And Jillian's actual complaint is, I get it already. Can we talk about something else? If this is the direction they're going, it's going to be the Jews with like Candace Owens, or it's going to be suit-wearing, Bush-era interventionist, boring, I'm not there. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't know who in the Democratic Party I'm voting for because they're insane too. But I have a potential prediction based on what we're seeing now with the MAGA civil war, whatever you want to call it. I don't know how likely it will be, but I believe there's a decent probability a Rogan-esque Democrat emerges. I mean, like Joe Rogan-esque, who says, I don't know what's going on with the Republicans. He's going to be wearing a flannel. He's going to be like big into MMA. He's going to be a reasonable guy. He's going to be friends with comedians. And he's going to say, the Republicans are going weird on me, man, just like the Democrats used to. I'm going to try and save the Democratic Party and bring it back to normalcy. And then this person could advocate against the weird trans and the kid stuff, push out the weird far lefty cultural stuff, keep the far lefty economic stuff, and be someone who appears reasonable to working class Americans and actually win.
Republicans are still have a better approval rating than Democrats. Democrats are still in the toilet.
Yeah.
So I mean, the Republicans still could make something out of this, but if they're fighting with each other about, who's going to actually be in charge of the Republican Party, because that's the sense that I get about the AmFest stuff, right? Like the fight is now, okay, we want to keep the people that we find offensive or we find distasteful. We want to keep them out, and we want this to go back to the kind of Romney-esque, normal, quote-unquote, Republicans. But that's not what the MAGA coalition is. The MAGA coalition wasn't exclusive. It didn't kick people out. And so Republicans can make something of this and capitalize on really historic low favorability for the Democrats. But if they're going to exclude people, they're going to be giving away votes.
Well, I think there's 2 points. I mean, one, I do think Vance is probably the only person in the party right now that's capable of stitching the coalition together. Yep. He's demonstrated that he is the best at framing, probably in the entire Republican Party. I was talking to Phil earlier about this. The moment that I really realized Vance is the guy, I mean, I always liked him, I always supported him, and I was excited when he was a VP candidate. But when I realized, like, oh, this is the guy for 28, was after the Politico article came out about the group chat leak. And, you know, everyone on the right was like kind of unsure how to handle it. Do we condemn these kids? Do we throw them under the bus? And then Vance comes out and says, I don't really care about a group chat leak when the AG candidate in Virginia is threatening to kill Republicans. Like, you guys need to clean up your side before we ever consider, like, you know, hall monitoring our side. So I do think Vance is probably the only guy that's capable of stitching that coalition together, but the knives are out for him from both the neocons and sort of the Groyper aligned people. But I do think with the Democrats, they're going to struggle to actually present sort of a moderate MMA type of guy because they're beholden to their base. And that's sort of the issue in the Democrat Party is the base has no appetite whatsoever to...
Something happened?
Myron Fresh wanted to send you a video. They're doing their best. They wanted to
Oh, right on.
right now.
Oh, right on. Shout out to Fresh and Fit. They're in AmFest now. I'm glad they got in.
Yeah.
I just think next year they're not going to be let in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's going to be bad for the Republican Party.
Well, no, I was just saying that their base has no appetite to moderate right now. And then here's the primary issue for a moderate Democrat if they were to try to merge on the national scene is they're also beholden to staffers. And so when you're trying to staff a campaign, when you're trying to staff an administration, the problem is in the Democrat Party on the left is they're all functionally activists. They all believe they're in perpetual revolution. True. And so, okay, let's say, maybe a Rogan type of guy does come along who's maybe a bit more moderate. He's going to instantly get pushed to the left by his staff. Like, it's not a one-man army. A political campaign is really a conglomeration of everybody within that campaign.
I just, to your point, I just saw a tweet earlier. Owen Wilson, who's the guy, Owen Jones. I'm sorry.
Owen Wilson. I like that guy.
Owen Jones, who's he's a Politico he's a commentator in the UK, and he misgendered someone in some kind of online discussion or whatever, and he was getting lambasted by people. So that the idea that woke has gone away is totally wrong, and that's still very, very influential on the left. So someone that would be a Rogan-esque kind of every man's man. The feminists are not going to get behind him. The intersectionalists are not going to get behind him.
I'm glad you brought up. I'm glad you brought up Rogan-esque because the first thing that happened right after Trump got into office, you have all these talk shows that were talking, how did we lose? Well, I can't believe we're trying to analyze how they lost. And the very first thing they said was, I think it was Dana Bash was the first one to mention that we're living in the manosphere right now. And literally, I still have that. I still have that clip. But I watched all these talk shows in the sort of aftermath of the election, and they were all saying, well, we don't have a Jordan Peterson, we don't have a Theo Vaughn, we don't have a Joe Rogan, we don't have somebody who's like popular with the boys, how do we get the men to come back to the Democrat Party? And so you never had them in the first place. In fact, you actively ran them out of the party. But now they're trying to. I'm seeing the rise of this sort of character right now, and I'm just going to use Scott Galloway as the example here. But Scott Galloway he's the safest edgelord that there is right now, and he'll go on Oprah, he'll go on with Chris Williamson, he'll go with these guys, and it's always these half measures, but it always comes back to sort of he wants to address the fact that young men are having issues and problems these days, but then he'll turn around somehow and make it the same people's fault for that. But I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to sort of groom a figure. I'm not saying they're going to run Scott Galloway as a presidential candidate, but somebody like him who has that kind of gravitas, I guess, that a Rogan does, or like that sort of online podcaster sort of voice that they can relate to. I think that's probably a direction that they want to go.
They're trying.
I agree with you guys on there's a lot of feminists, but the same way we are seeing the icing out of the Jews people on the right, I would not be surprised to see, as these people keep saying, where's our left-wing Joe Rogan, with, maybe we need to get rid of these wackaloons. And so you will start seeing it's not difficult to do. You can easily, look what's happening with Candace. She's the center stage of the conspiratard right. And it's not even right-wing. I mean, she's attracting liberals. Yeah. This may actually rope all of the fringe weirdos into a space where you get moderate conservatives and moderate liberals largely agreeing, and then you have the wackaloon left with the wackaloon right together because they hate Israel. Like, one of the things I tweeted was the future left-right divide is going to be those who are ambivalent to pro-Israel and those who hate Israel. because Anna Kasparian is now a Candace Owens fan. And the Young Turks audience in the comment section are big Candace Owens fans. They have found their unity in hating Israel, and that's going to be some other weird faction. And then moderates are going to be like, well, you know, you're going to start. I would not be surprised. I'm not saying it's true. If CNN starts saying these people are just plumb crazy, starts trying to bring it back, and they occupy then a similar space to Fox News, the way it used to be, where they largely agreed on everything except for a few wedge issues. And then you're going to have the online space of the Jews people, and then you're going to have the mainstream space of moderate politics. I do think that it's very pro-Israel, by the way.
Well, I mean, you're starting to see the Democrats try to, like you're talking about, try to sort of get people to get their candidates to pass the sniff test for like sort of what masculine politics would look like. Like there's a Senate candidate in Maine, Graham Plattner, and he does the thing where he wears the flannel and like he cuts these ads where he's like chopping wood and he's like tries to talk in a really deep voice, but he tries to like sell these policies that are inherently like really gay in a way that would pass the sniff test for like normal people. And so he'll like cut an ad where he's like, you know what I hate to see? I hate when these chuds misgender a beautiful trans woman. And like it's got the facade of like a tough man. I think he was like a Marine or something. But the problem is these guys are just so beholden to their base, because the ones that aren't, the ones that are actually pushing maybe more towards the middle, they get completely lambasted by the Democrats. Like look at how they've treated John Fetterman.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.